So we begin with this intention that our being together takes us more and more towards understanding, towards love, towards joyousness, towards truth, towards beauty, and towards more and more freedom. And out of this, may we walk further on this path, and also out of this, us walking further on this path, may the entire cosmos be elevated and taken in the direction of freedom, love, and joy. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So, um, so एक हमारा जो जीवन है, this life, all the things that are happening in this life. So all the things that are happening, um all the things that are happening in something, to something, and that something to which everything is happening is sort of the background in which all our life takes place. So there is a background to our experience, and there is a foreground to our experience. So the एक जो what is the foreground of experience? The foreground is what we normally see, what we normally think, what we normally feel. तो ये foreground में सारा जीवन चल रहा है, foreground. And we are not always very much aware of the background of experience. कि background क्या है? So what do we mean by this foreground? What is this foreground of experience? So everything that we can, everything that changes, anything that can change is the foreground of experience. जो भी चीजें, जो भी अनुभव जो बदल सकती है, right? So whatever experience is happening in the here and now is the foreground. Whatever we see, whatever we touch, whatever we hear, whatever we feel, whatever we think, uh, this world of things, objects, people, all this is happening in the foreground. And it is happening in or to the background, which is actually the experiencer of all that is happening. तो ये अनुभव करने वाली जो ऊर्जा है, वो एक है, the background, and what is happening is the foreground. So there's a foreground and there's a background. So let us understand what this is and what it means, right? So it's like you can think of like a TV screen, let's say. आजकल जो this LCD or LED or whatever, this TV screen on which different things show up, different channels, different stories, different movies show up on that screen. The image shows up, and then the image changes to some other image, and so on and so on. So foreground में ये सब हो रहा है. All these changing phenomenon happens in the foreground, whereas the background जो screen है, the screen is not changing. The screen doesn't change. So the screen is that to which and in which experience happens. So similarly in our life, so many things are coming and going. Just like the different stories and different movies and different experiences come and go, just like that, ये सारी बातें जो है वो आती है और जाती है. तो what is the reality? If I want to know what is the ultimate truth, what is the really, what is the पहचान क्या है? अगर मैं टीवी जो चल रहा है उसको पूछूं कि ये आपकी पहचान क्या है, तो उसकी पहचान जो चैनल उस पे चल रहे हैं, जो मूवी उस पे चल रही है, वो उसकी पहचान नहीं है, क्योंकि वो तो आती है और जाती है अलग अलग. मुझे पता लगाना है कि ये टीवी की असलियत क्या है, उसकी पहचान क्या है. So then that pehchan has to do with the background, the TV. It's a Samsung TV, it's a 55-inch TV, and it's got this thickness and this size, and that is the pehchan of the TV. The pehchan of the TV is not the channels that come and go, right? That because that's you don't recognize a TV by the channels. The channels are something that is added to the TV, and they come and it could be a murder mystery, it could be a romance, it could be anything. But that is not the reality of the TV, is the background on which all this is happening. So, similarly, if I were to ask you, what is your truth? What is your reality? आपकी पहचान क्या है? What is your truth? Then your truth cannot be all the things that happen and come and go. It has to be that background, that infinite space, that on which, that canvas on which the painting is happening. That is the true nature, that is your reality. So that is at one level. But now if we ask ourselves कि ये जो मूवी जो चल रही है, जो चित्र बन रहा है टीवी के ऊपर, वो किससे बना हुआ है? What is the reality of the movie that is playing on the TV? उसकी असलियत क्या है? ये अगर हम पूछेंगे अपने आप को कि ये टीवी पे जो मूवी चल रही है उसकी बनावट क्या है, तो कैन यू इमेजिन अ मूवी हैपनिंग विदाउट द टीवी? The reality of the movie is the background, the TV that is present. तो वो जो बैकग्राउंड है, तो ये जो मूवी चल रही है, चैनल जो चल रहे हैं टीवी के ऊपर, उसकी असलियत के बारे में हम अगर जानना चाहेंगे कि वो किससे बना हुआ है, तो उसकी जो बनावट है, it is made from that same screen. The screen itself turns on some color here, some color there, some pixel here, some pixel there, and some different image here. यहाँ dark, यहाँ light, यहाँ ये color, यहाँ वो color. So that was a reality of the movie also. So पहले नजर में देखेंगे तो ये foreground और background अलग दिखते हैं हमें, कि एक बैकग्राउंड है जहां हम हो रहा है, या हमारी असलियत है कि जो जहां मैं अनुभव अपने आप को कर रहा हूँ, लाइफ को कर रहा हूँ, वो एक है. और ये दुनिया जो है, विचार जो है, ये लोग जो है, चीज़ें जो है, वो एक अलग उसका फोरग्राउंड है। लेकिन और बारीकी से, विच इज ट्रू ऑल्सो, कि फोरग्राउंड इज योर रियलिटी, I mean, the background is your reality and the foreground is something that comes and goes. That is true at one level. But इसके भी आगे अगर जाएंगे, what is this foreground made of? तो ये चीजें जो है वो किससे बनी हुई है? तो just like जो मूवी है, it is made from the screen only. It is the screen itself which turns on and does this and that and that, and the movie happens and the whole story happens. So the movie is also made of the screen. So similarly, if we ask ourselves, what are these things made of? What is the world made of? What are people made of? What are thoughts made of? What are feelings made of? Then we realize that made the actual, उसका जो raw material है, चीजों का, लोगों का, विचारों का, अनुभवों का, उसका जो रॉ मटेरियल है, उसका रॉ मटेरियल भी वही मैं हूं। क्योंकि मेरे होने के बिना ये अनुभव हो ही नहीं सकता। इट इज लाइक सेइंग एन एक्सपीरियंस विदाउट मी टू नो द एक्सपीरियंस, कैन इट एवर हैपन? इट कैन नॉट हैपन। So all experiences are made up also of that same background. So even though at one level एक background है, एक foreground है, at a deeper level, the foreground is also nothing but the same I, the same consciousness, the same awareness, the same divine. तो जो भी हमें दिख रहा है, जो भी हम छूते हैं, जो भी हम देखते हैं, जो भी हम सुनते हैं, सारी चीजों की बनावट, सारी चीजों की असलियत, लोगों की असलियत, हर एक अनुभव की असलियत is ultimately divine only. Because without that divine presence to experience, उन चीजों का कोई कोई मतलब ही नहीं है। जैसे एक मूवी स्क्रीन के बिना हो ही नहीं सकती, तो स्क्रीन ही उसकी भी असलियत है। So what I, the जो भी हम अनुभव करते हैं, हम सोचते हैं कि ये कुछ निर्जीव है या not important. So this is one of the myth or one of the mistakes along this spiritual path, that we can understand and see how we can avoid this mistake. so what is told in a lot of the teachings is is to turn away from the foreground and turn more and more towards the background, कि जो ये दिव्य शक्ति की जो असलियत है उसके तरफ हमारा ध्यान जाए, हम वहीं बसे, हम वहीं रहे, और जो फोरग्राउंड है उसको सिर्फ प्रैक्टिकल बात के लिए अगर हमें इंटरैक्ट करना ही पड़ता है तो उसके साथ इंटरैक्ट करें। वरना हमारा जो ध्यान है, हमारा जो एनर्जीज है, हमारी साधना है, वो उस बैकग्राउंड की तरफ हो। दैट इज द नॉर्मल और यूजुअल टीचिंग दैट इज गिवन। So anyway, let me take a pause at this point. Any questions up to now on whatever we are saying? Any questions on this understanding? This, ये जो एक हम मॉडल या एक तस्वीर बना रहे हैं of reality, are you understanding what I'm saying? Are you following along? Do you get it? Do you get that you yourself, there are two aspects to you? आपके भी दो दो पहलू दो पहलू हैं। एक है आपका जीवन और दूसरा है आपके जीवन को अनुभव करने वाली ऊर्जा। तो दो पहलू हैं। और जो भी हम अपना जीवन कहते हैं वो पूरा बना हुआ है, जो चीजें जो अनित्य है, आती है जाती है, आती है जाती है, लोग आते हैं जाते हैं, विचार आते हैं जाते हैं, संवेदनाएं आती है जाती है, भावनाएं आती है जाती है, चीजें आती है जाती है, ये शरीर भी आता है और जाता है। और एक दूसरा पहलू है वो जगह, वो ऊर्जा जहां पे ये सारी बातें आती है और जाती है, और वो जगह, वो जो ऊर्जा है, वो ना आती है ना जाती है। वो वहीं की वहीं है और वही आपकी असलियत है। तो आपके दो पहलू हैं, एक वो बैकग्राउंड वाली बात और ये जो फोरग्राउंड वाली बात, ये दो पहलू हैं आपके। और नॉर्मल हम देखेंगे लोग को, जो यू नो मोस्ट पीपल, एवरीवन इज ओनली एंगेज्ड विद द फोरग्राउंड। फोरग्राउंड पे ही ज्यादातर लोगों का ध्यान वहीं पे है, उनका सोचना, उनका इंटरेक्शन वहीं बाहर की तरफ ही है सिर्फ। फोरग्राउंड में ही लड़ रहे हैं और फोरग्राउंड में ही ऊंचाइयां आती है, गहराइयां आती है, अप्स एंड डाउन्स ऑफ लाइफ, सारा वहीं बाहर बाहर फोरग्राउंड में आप उसी के साथ जुड़े हुए रहते हैं। जैसे आप मूवी देखते हो तो मूवी में आपका ध्यान है, आपको ये मूवी कहाँ चल रही है, कौन कि ये स्क्रीन ही इसकी सही असलियत है, वो उस पर हमारा ध्यान नहीं होता है। सो दैट इज मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल in the world are just living in that foreground, and nothing wrong with that, but except कि ये जो हमारा, जो हमें असल में चाहिए, हैप्पीनेस, जॉय, पीस, ब्यूटी, ट्रूथ, these are qualities of the background, these are not qualities of the foreground. बैकग्राउंड जो है उसकी नेचुरल क्वालिटी है पीस। इफ यू जस्ट क्लोज योर आइज एंड लुक विद इन, नो मैटर हाउ मच chaos इज गोइंग ऑन आउटसाइड, आपके अंतर में एक शांति की लहर है जो कहीं जाती नहीं है। जस्ट एक्सपेरिमेंट, जस्ट टेक अ मिनट, क्लोज योर आईज एंड जस्ट लुक। नो मैटर वॉट इज गोइंग ऑन आउटसाइड, नो मैटर वॉट आई एम सेइंग, दैट लिसनर, जो मैं कह रहा हूं वो बाहर की बात है, लेकिन ये जो सुनने वाला है, ये सुनने वाली जो ऊर्जा है, उसके तरफ देखिए। और वो जो सुनने वाली ऊर्जा है उसके क्या गुण है, तो आप देखेंगे कि चाहे जो भी हो रहा है बाहर, हमारा ध्यान chaos, there can be ups and downs, बट जो बैकग्राउंड है उसमें ना कोई हलचल है, ना कोई असर है। जस्ट लाइक, नो मैटर इफ देयर इज अ वॉर गोइंग ऑन इन द मूवी and cannons are bursting and whatever, there's a bomb going off and this and that and all kinds of chaos, but ask yourself the question, no matter how big a bomb explodes in the movie, does it do anything to the screen? It does nothing to the screen. And that the screen is simply there, a backdrop on which all of this activity happens, and is untouched by anything that happens in the front. So notice that this is the truth about you also. And now notice, what is this foreground, this movie in the front made of? वो भी अलग, हम सोचते हैं कि ये अलग है, मेरे से अलग है, या जो ब्रह्म शक्ति है उससे नहीं बना हुआ है। लेकिन हम अगर बारीकी से देखेंगे, हर चीज, हर व्यक्ति, हर विचार, हर सोच, हर संवेदना, हर अनुभव, उसका आधार, उसका बेस वही मैं हूं। अगर मैं नहीं हूं तो ये भी नहीं है। या उसके जानने से, इमेजिन, कोई अनुभव हो सकता है क्या जहां अनुभव करने वाला कोई ना हो? ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता। तो ये अनुभव का आधार, अनुभव की सच्चाई, ये अनुभव की सच्चाई भी ये अनुभव करने वाली ऊर्जा है। सो द फोरग्राउंड, द फोरग्राउंड ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस, लेकिन उसकी भी सच्चाई वही है। तो उसकी सच्चाई भी मैं ही हूं। मैं यानी आई, द बिग आई, द ब्रह्मा कहो, ब्रह्मांड कहो, जो भी नाम दे दो। जो भी बाहर है, उसकी बनावट, उसकी असलियत भी वही है। इट इज नॉट टू थिंग्स। इट इज नॉट टू थिंग्स। इट इज ऑल वन। इट इज ऑल वन। सो द स्पिरिचुअल पाथ जो है इज नॉट, ये हमें सिखाया जाता है, बताया जाता है कि जो अंतर है, जो सच्चाई है आपकी, उसके तरफ हमारा ध्यान रहे, हमारा, our attention, let our focus turn away from the movie and become aware of the screen. Turning away from life and becoming aware of the experiencer of life. So, this is one approach. And at the initial stage, this may be important to do. शुरू में ये ज़रूरी है कि हम अपना ध्यान बाहर की जो ये केओस है, वहां से मुड़कर जो स्क्रीन है उस पर हमारा ध्यान जाए। ये शुरू में ज़रूरी है। लेकिन लॉट ऑफ द टीचिंग्स वहीं रुक जाते हैं। एंड व्हेन वी स्टॉप जस्ट एट दैट, देन वी आर मिसिंग समथिंग। सो शुरू में हमारी जिंदगी, जीवन सिर्फ फोरग्राउंड के बारे में है। बाद में जो जो महातपस्वी है, उनका जीवन सिर्फ बैकग्राउंड के बारे में हो जाता है। वो सही है, ठीक है, अच्छा है, लेकिन वहां रुकना नहीं है। सो व्हाट इज पॉसिबल, what is actually the more exciting and more interesting and more satisfying and more wonderful way to live is not to turn away from the foreground and become merged with the background, but to bring the background more and more into the foreground, bringing divine into day to day life, into your thoughts, into your feelings, into your work, into your interactions, bringing that foreground into the background, into the foreground. That is the whole journey. So understand, most people are only focused on foreground. If you are somewhat religious or somewhat spiritual, you have encountered some books, then you become more and more focused on the background, and you kind of lose the foreground. Initially, that's okay. But to complete the journey, the final journey, is where this background and foreground becomes one ground. When life is permeated with, mixed with, merged with, the screen and the movie are both available and known by you, then that's when the magic happens. And that's where the magic really is. When life is filled with this experiencer, which is love, which is truth, which is joy, then things are so simple and so obvious and so wonderful and so beautiful and so miraculous, and such an adventure life becomes. Because पहली वाली जो लाइफ है वो बहुत स्ट्रगल है, बहुत सफरिंग है. इफ यू आर जस्ट फोकस ऑन द फोरग्राउंड, बाप रे कितनी समस्याएं हैं लाइफ में. ये दुनिया में कितनी सारी बातें हैं जो हमें नहीं पसंद है. It's a very dull, very difficult kind of a life. Why would anyone ever want to live like that? So that is out. The second one, where you're just turned inwards, is well and good, much better than this one. But you're missing something. You've lost the what is available, because out here is also divine. This foreground is also love. This foreground is also made of Brahman. It is not separate. It is not different. You know, there are some people who go the other way. Oh, ये मैं तो कुछ नहीं, मैं तो बस एक छोटी सी क्या हूँ पता नहीं. Belittle yourself and मैं तो सिर्फ परमात्मा एक है और मैं तो यहाँ हूँ बहुत दूर. God is at an infinite distance away from you, and your entire life becomes a journey or struggle to find that far away, distant divine. Whereas the reality is everywhere there is nothing but divine. Everywhere there's nothing going on. There's nothing going on except divine and the dance of the divine. That's all that's happening. And by ignoring the dance of the divine and thinking somehow I'm going to find divine somewhere else, we miss the dance. We miss the show that this life has to offer. So, being one with this dance of life, the dance of the universe, and seeing that this dance is nothing but the dance of Shiva, or however culturally you want to call it, the dance of the stars, the dance of awareness, the dance of consciousness, the dance of Krishna, dance of whatever names you want to give. But we don't have to miss the dance just because we have understood it is only a half the story if we turn away from the dance. So the magic, in the first case, this movement is just an exercise. आप कसरत कर रहे हो, जीवन एक कसरत हो गया है. Mechanically you're going through whatever. You have no clue what is reality. And exercise at the end of the day is not very fun compared to a game. A game is much more fun. And compared to a game, dance is even more fun. If you move just as exercise, okay, chalo, better than stillness. If you move as a game, you're playing tennis, you're playing cricket, you're playing badminton, okay, better. But the ultimate form of of movement is dance. And how exercise become dance is when the background merges with the foreground. When the background merges with the foreground, this whole life becomes a dance. So it is not about turning away from the foreground. It is not about turning away from the background. It is not about just going into the background. It is about having one ground, bringing both together, and using this body, using this life, using each moment to bring the two together in alignment. and dancing with life. There's another song by Leonard Cohen, which we talked about a couple of, uh, maybe last week or something. There's another song by him called Dance Me to the End of Love. Dance Me to the End of Love. It's a beautiful song. Check it out on YouTube. Not right now. But later.
Please sing few words of this song, na?
Acha,
Please.
nahi, I don't really know that song.
We adore your singing, so please.
I know. uh, uh, and Leonard Cohen ke jo songs hote they are more reciting of poetry rather than uh, rather than singing. But I'll give it a little. Let me see if I can find the lyrics.
You recite the poem, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'll do. Uh, why? Oh, I'm on YouTube. That's why. Okay, let me go on Google. Uh, Dance Me to the End of Love. Lyrics. Here we go. Ha, it's such a very, very deep. His poetry is always so wonderful. Dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. Dance me through the panic till I am gathered safely in. Lift me like an olive branch and be my homeward dove. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Oh, let me see your beauty when the witnesses are gone. Let me see your beauty when the witnesses are gone. Let me feel you moving like they do in Babylon. Show me slowly what I know only the limits of. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the wedding now. I mean, this is a very romantic song also. I mean, to me, this is like ultimate romance, the lyrics. Dance me to the wedding now, dance me on and on. Dance me very tenderly and dance me very long. We are both of us beneath our love. We are both of us above. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the children who are asking to be born. Dance me through the curtains that the kisses have outworn. Raise a tent of shelter now, though every thread is torn. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. Dance me through the panic till I am gathered safely in. Touch me with your hand or touch me with your glove. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Such a deep meaning, and the reference to the burning violin is a reference probably to some of the moments in during the Holocaust, during the World War II. There were these concentration camps, and of course, every kind of person was filled there, and some of the very, 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 very highly known and revered and famous musicians of Germany. Some of them were also in these concentration camps, and and the story is that some of the soldiers who were about to kill them also knew the value of their music and who they are, and and they were asked to do one last performance. They knew they are going into the concentration camp next, and so dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. So it's a reference to the musicians who knew that the next step is death. But so dance me with that kind of passion, the kind of passion that can come out of only knowing that death is near. And so yeah, so when the foreground and the background become one, that is when that is when the dance of life happens. Otherwise, you are simply doing exercise.
Tell me, can you dance when death is near?
I think we should dance, especially when death is near.
But
especially
how do you
especially
how do you prepare yourself for it? We don't know.
no, no, we don't know, but see, that is the whole point of this understanding, right? To know that you are not this body, because you know that this body is changing every moment and you are not changing. So knowing that death is simply a dropping of this body, not you. We can celebrate. I mean, we may, there can be a certain sorrow associated with uh, with losing something. Like the body is a precious, is it's a precious, wonderful uh, equipment that we have. So just as we may miss something that we are going to lose, we may feel sorrow about it, but in the moment of sorrow, see, a moment of sorrow and a moment of missing is different than a moment of fear. If you are in fear, it will be very difficult to dance. But in sorrow, in missing, yes. Let's say, what do we do when let's say somebody is going away to a foreign country for many, many years. What do we want to do with them before they leave? We want to celebrate with them. And what do we do when we celebrate with them? We dance with them, right? We want to dance before you go away. Let me experience this dance with you before you leave. And the same thing we can tell ourselves, this body.
But then when one is going, then it's not like if I go right now, I'll say, okay, bye. But when my body is in pain, then this body is a medium to, uh, stop that easily, Sanjeevji, that when you're struggling, maybe somebody's suffering from cancer or anything, it's difficult.
Right, it's not easy, and but the opportunity is there. The opportunity is there, and even if you're not physically able to, you can still be in an inner state of dance. Maybe your physical state doesn't allow you to physically get off the hospital bed and start dancing. That's not the dance we are talking about anyway. We are talking about the inner dance, and the inner dance can happen only in the absence of fear. And the absence of fear can only come when you understand and you see and experience again and again and again. Every time we meditate, every time we close our eyes, every time we ask ourselves the question, how to bring that to this? Every time we ask that question, am I there? Every time we ask that question, we touch that part of ourselves which is untouched by the outside. And every time we touch that, we establish ourselves more and more in that, and know clearly that this body is wonderful. It is also a divine gift. It is a divine creation. It is not something to be rejected. It is not something to be turned away from. It is precious. You love it. But you know that it is not you. It is just your body. And when that established understanding becomes deeper and deeper and deeper, that's when the dance can happen at any moment. I would say, especially at the moment of death. Especially, what a life. You know, uh, if at that last moment, if you can look back on your life and say, what a life. Yes, celebration. क्या life जिए हैं हम. So then that dance is possible. There is this imagery which is produced by, there is this character called Zorba the Greek. I don't know if you've heard of that character, Zorba the Greek. So Zorba the Greek is this guy, a millionaire, uh, completely into outward celebration, um, and the most expensive yachts and the most beautiful lavish parties and whatever. That is Zorba the Greek. And then there is the Buddha who is happy in every moment, in any moment, calm. peaceful, loving, joyous, compassionate. So we have both aspects in us. We have Zorba the Greek and we have the Buddha. Both exist. Both exist and are available to us at any moment. So the magic happens when you live not as Zorba the Greek and not just as the Buddha, but you live as Zorba the Buddha. Not Zorba the Greek, Zorba the Buddha. So, and how can you live as Zorba the Buddha is very simple. It's about bringing the Buddha that you are into this life, which is the colors and the splendor and the music and the all that this life has to offer. When the Buddha enters the market, that's when the magic happens. Buddha suffering in the market, or the man or the person suffering in the market, that's level 1. Level 2 is Buddha, the man becomes a Buddha and enters the cave. That's level 2, where he has found that inner peace. The level 3 is when Buddha comes back to the marketplace, re-enters the market as the Buddha. Um, वो एक दिन हमने अभी अभी गाया था. um, कबीरा खड़ा बाजार में, सबकी मांगे खैर. तो कबीरा बाजार में खड़ा है, कहीं गुफा में जाके छुप नहीं गया है. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट द मैसेज इज. कबीरा खड़ा बाजार में, सबकी मांगे खैर. ना कहूँ से दोस्ती, ना कहूँ से दोस्ती, ना कहूँ से बैर. माटी कहे कुम्हार से, तू क्या रौंदे मोहे. एक दिन ऐसा आएगा, मैं रौंदूंगी तो है, मैं रौंदूंगी तो है. तो ना कहूँ से दोस्ती. बाजार में जाके आप दोस्ती की आपको जरूरत कब नहीं होगी? Only when you are Zorba the Buddha. If you are Zorba the Greek, you have to do business. You have to do transactions. You have to make friends. इसको मस्का लगाओ, इसको मस्का लगाओ, उसको मस्का लगाओ अपना माल बेचने के लिए. लेकिन if you are Zorba the Buddha, you are already wealthy. The whole world is your wealth. You don't need to give maska to anyone. Na kahu se dosti. And you are the Buddha. Na kahu se bair. That is also not easy. हमें किसी ना किसी से कुछ ना कुछ, किसी ना किसी बात पे गीले शिकवे होते ही है. तो बैर भी है. तो दैट स्टेट ऑफ ना कहू से दोस्ती, ना कहू से बैर can only happen when you are living as Zorba the Buddha. There's actually a place in Delhi called Zorba the Buddha. And I think this term is coined by Osho. But it captures this idea very beautifully. And this place called Zorba the Buddha in Delhi is a wonderful place in the, right in the middle of Delhi, in the midst of all this chaos that Delhi is. This oasis of green and beauty and calm and meditation and so many wonderful activity. So re-entering the market. So neither the background, don't get caught in the foreground. That is step number one. Don't get caught in the background. Because when we turn from the foreground, most of the people, 99% of the people are caught in the foreground. And they are just living their life in the chaos of the foreground, never coming out of it. They're not lucky enough to encounter any knowledge, any inner truth, and they are just caught. Then, out of the 1% who get this knowledge, a lot of them get caught in the background. शुष्क बन जाते हैं, listless, lifeless, and and they are missing something because they have not realized that this foreground is also equally joyous, equally permeated with joy. What is each and everything made of? I mean, even if you look at physics, कि ये चीजें क्या है? It's a dance. If you examine every object, what do you find? You go deeper and deeper and deeper, you find atoms. Deeper into atoms, you find electrons. What are the electrons doing? Dancing, continuously dancing around the nucleus. कण कण रोम रोम में ये dance. It's filled with that, literally. Literally, it is dancing. And why not think that it is dancing with joy? Because what else? What else can make something move for an infinite number of eons except joy? Have you noticed that, हम we do a lot of नवरात्रि में गरबा करते हैं, डांडिया करते हैं, रास करते हैं. I remember आजकल बहुत सारे रिस्ट्रिक्शन आ जाते हैं, 10 बजे बंद कर दो, 11 बजे बंद कर दो, whatever. But when I was younger, we used to dance till 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Gather together and to the beat of the drums and the ras, the dancing would go on till 5 in the morning. And I remember nights where we have danced all night and straight away directly gone for breakfast to Matunga, where the things open at 6 a.m. Idli vada sambar mil jata hai. Directly wahi se gaye hain. So how is it possible to dance for 6 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours? Only joy can make it happen. If it is not out of joy, you will get tired in half an hour, 1 hour, maximum 2 hours. But when there is joy, the body loses all concept of time and energy and all that. And the dance is where the joy is. So imagine these electrons are spinning around these atoms since the beginning of time, 13.8 billion years. And that is only 5% of the story. 95% of the universe, we don't know what it is. We call it dark matter and dark energy. Pata bhi nahi kya hai ye. Mystery. What a beautiful mystery. So all this is bringing that into our life. That is what the whole sadhana is. Living life as Zorba, the Buddha. Wonderful. Any questions, thoughts, insights? Anything anyone would like to share or ask? देखिए, 2 पॉसिबिलिटी होती है अगर कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है. पहली पॉसिबिलिटी ये है कि सब बम पर गया. कुछ भी समझ में ही नहीं है. क्या कह रहे हैं आप? फोरग्राउंड, बैकग्राउंड, जोरबा, बुद्धा क्या है? And the other possibility is everything is crystal clear and there is absolutely no question left in your mind. So go ahead. Sonal is there. Yeah, Sonal, I'm sure you have a question. Go ahead.
Yes, as usual.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sir, at present, I am struggling in the foreground.
Struggling in the foreground.
And as
What
usual,
what are you struggling with? What are you
as
struggling with?
question was put up that how do you dance when death is around?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I have just now faced it, and still there are few, like my few relatives are in very bad state, and news is about to come. So that fear is gripping me. And then you say ki you dance around when the fear is there. I can't do that. So
No, no,
from
it's not done.
foreground to
Yeah.
background is so difficult that it's very easy to listen, but how do I do it? How do I do it?
Yeah.
So
So
situation is we are attached to our own relatives, we are attached to the whole world, we are attached to ourselves also. So
correct.
that
Correct.
detachment to go from foreground to background is very difficult.
So I'm saying go to from foreground to background and then come back to the foreground with the background. Bring the background with you into the foreground. That's the full circle. पूरा चक्कर चलाना है, आधा चक्कर नहीं चलाना। फोरग्राउंड से बैकग्राउंड में सिर्फ जाके वहां रुक नहीं जाना है, वो बैकग्राउंड को साथ में लेकर वापस फोरग्राउंड में आना है। So how do you do it? How do you do anything, Sonal? Imagine you are at a party and people are dancing and you have a million thoughts. How can I dance? I don't know how to dance. How will I look? लोग क्या कहेंगे मुझे, मैंने कभी डांस नहीं किया, my I don't there is so many problems in my life, how can I dance? You can stand there looking and thinking like that, and in that situation how would you start to dance? How would you do it?
Music.
Okay, म्यूजिक को लेके क्या करोगे?
Start tapping your legs and then go, music आने को start हो जाता है.
Exactly, and then you start dancing. So that's how you do it. I remember one play that I saw, and I may have talked about this before. It's called Lady Windermere's Fan. And the play was about this woman who has all these very, very difficult relationships with all the different men in her life. She has issues with her father. She has issues with her brother. She has issues with her husband. She has issues with her son. And she happened to be somebody who had many lovers. So she had issues with all her lovers also. Now, the unique thing which moved me happened at the end of the play. And this is an old time play where there this was, I saw it in Princeton actually a long time ago. And I still remember, we walked out of that play, Karen and I, and the last scene in that play, the last scene was a dance. Okay, it was a ballroom dance. And in that ballroom dance, and you're aware of so much trouble she had with her dad, with her brother, and so many issues and all that. But in that last scene, she simply takes each one by their hand, one after the other, and just dances with them. Each one just dancing, just dancing. And in that dance, all the conflict, all that just kind of melts away and disappears. And it doesn't even matter. And that, in spite of all of that, and that was such a moving experience. So it was one story in which there is no resolution. I mean, the conflicts are still there and all those issues still remain, and yet she's dancing with each one of them with a lot of love, with a lot of grace. It was so moving. um, I'm forgetting the name. I think it was Lady Windermere's Fan or Lady Shatterley's Lover or one of those two names. I'm not sure which one of the two. But I remember walking out of the play, and I was just literally, I fell into, I was just sobbing. It was so touching, beautiful. Just the dance to the end of love. So we will always have considerations, Sonal. The foreground will always consist of challenges. The foreground will always have issues. The people in our lives will always have something or the other that bothers us. The circumstances in our life will always have something that we don't like. And even if there's nothing that we don't like, there is something that we like which is not there and which we want. It will always be that way. If we are going to wait for all of these things to get resolved before we stand up and begin tapping our feet and dancing, if we are going to wait for all those things to resolve, it will never happen. And so it's not that if I am saying dance with life that I have no challenges. I have many challenges in my life. And so does everyone here, and so does everyone in the world. You are not unique. But what can make you unique is to put on your dancing shoes even when the house is on fire.
Sanjivji, my house is on fire. Shall I start dancing?
Sure, why not?
Let's
Chalo,
start.
let's start.
Let's
Dance
start.
me to the end of love. And it even says the first line, dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. Fire hai already. Even with a burning violin, dance me to the end of love. So, right. So yeah, so Sonal, it's it's not that that there won't be any of this. There will always be something. There will always be something. So what? What does that have to do with the who you that you are? What has the TV got to do whether the movie playing is a murder mystery or a romance or a war movie or whatever? The TV को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. And you are in your reality that background on which whatever is playing right now, tragedy movie, maybe, I don't know. So we don't have to wait. We don't have to wait. So it has, in fact, it has nothing to do with all this foreground stuff. So go ahead, dance with whatever is there. You have to dance with whoever is there and whatever is there. If there is the mahal is of sorrow, dance with that sorrow. Dance with grief. Just like that lady Windermere dancing with people who she fought with all her life. Dancing with each one. That's what the whole message is, and that's what is possible, and that's what is available. So, are we on, Sonal?
Yes, sir.
Yes, great. And literally dance bhi karenge. We'll at the retreat coming up on 3rd of March, everyone. 3rd of March to Thursday to Sunday, we'll gather in person, live, and see how we can experience everything that we've been talking about for all these months. Of course, not that we are not experiencing, we are experiencing also, but in person rather than over Zoom. So bring your dancing shoes with you, okay, Sonal?
Yes, sir.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you for that question, because that helps everyone to become clearer. And question from Kavita ji also, and Anamika, everyone. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for being here. I bow down to the divine that is present where you are. Thank you. Hari Om. Tat Sat.
Thank you, Sanjiv.